Hello everyone, and welcome to the first ever HalfBaked Christmas. Today I'm joined by two very special guests, gooohiz and Cueyo. In today's special, we'll be trekking through many holiday-related tales. gooohiz and Cueyo will cover the legend tales, and I'll cover some of the darker ones. So without further ado, the HalfBaked Christmas special.
This is a little tale from Russia, and unlike most others, it postulates that there isn't any charm in celebrating without knowing the significance of giving.
This is a story of an old lady named Babushka, who lived alone in a small hut situated beside crossroads, where four main roads intertwined. She had no neighbors, and she lived far away from all the other towns and villages. It was only the sound of wagons pulled by donkeys, the riders on horsebacks, and the footsteps of strangers passing by, which gave Babushka some company during the summers. When it was winter, Babushka was left with only the sounds of birds that she fed with the leftover crumbs from her wheat breads. Soon after, the birds too flew away. Babushka was too old and too frail to cut logs of wood to start a fire, and would have otherwise kept her warm. She did not even have any money to buy candles to light the rooms in her house. All Babushka did was sit at home in the dark during the cold winter days and waited for summer to return. On one harsh winter night, Babushka had heard voices of travelers and the tinkling of bells approaching. At first, she thought the sounds were made by the clinking of icicles on the frozen branches outside. Soon the voices grew louder and the grunts of animals were heard. Babushka immediately lit her last candle, wrapped a scarf around her head, and peeped through her frosted windows. She was surprised on hearing a knock at the door. Upon opening the door, she saw three men dressed in expensive fur clothing, seated on a camel. One of the rich men told Babushka they were following a star in the sky, which would lead them to a newborn baby king. The men asked Babushka to join them in their journey to find the baby. Dazzled, Babushka refused their offer. The men left her alone and continued their journey to find the special baby. After a while, Babushka regretted a decision on not joining them and was deeply distressed. She decided to search for the three wise men and wanted to meet the special newborn baby. So she put on her woolen scarf, wore her tattered cloak, carried a basket with treats for the newborn baby, and walked into the cold unknown. From village to village, Babushka traveled and retold the story about the three wise men and the special baby to everyone she met, but the villagers could not help her. She looked closely at every child she saw, hoping to identify the much talked about baby. On realizing that they were not, she would leave immediately, but not before she left them with a small gift, while they slept soundly in their beds. Babushka traveled for years, but she still did not find the special child. Some say that if Babushka still lived, she might still be looking for him.
Here, another Myths and Legends video, except this one's a little different. Yes, it has a story to go along with it, but it also gives you a little bit more of a breakdown. It follows not only one culture, but three. Mistletoe is a plant that during this time of year has quite relevance to not only our modern culture, but many ancient ones around the world. In today's culture, we associate it with Christmas, as an excuse for lovers and that creepy guy in the office to try and get a kiss. But the question remains, why is this strange plant so important to multiple cultures around the world? So let's break it down. The tradition of kissing under the mistletoe comes to us from many cultures, and each culture has its own significance to the plant. In Scandinavia, for example, the mistletoe was seen as a plant of peace. It was said that if one stood under the plant, their enemies would call a truce, and fighting couples could kiss underneath and resolve their issues. Greece had its own importance for mistletoe. To them, the plant was associated with fertility and reserved for the winter festival of Saturnalia and marriages. In these festivals, couples who kissed under the plant were said to have a fertile year and marriage. A prominent story comes from the Norse. The story goes as so: a god named Baldur had a premonition of his death, and he knew that he would be murdered. Upon hearing this, his mother, the goddess Frigg, worried for his safety, and made all living things promise that they would never hurt him. All things except the lowly mistletoe. Loki, the god of mischief, who knew this, and wished to exploit this, attended an assembly in Valhalla, where all other gods had gathered. In Valhalla, all the other gods were taking turns shooting arrows made of different things at Baldur. They were all in awe that nothing could hurt him. Regardless of what they shot at him, he remained unharmed. It was here that Loki saw his chance. He gave Baldur's brother, Holder, an arrow made from mistletoe. Upon striking Baldur, it ended him. For 3 days and nights, every living creature came to try and revive him and failed. Distraught, Frigg used the very plant that had killed her son as his antidote. Her tears became the berries that the plant now possesses, and with them she revived her son. Then, to spite Loki, the man who had caused her son's death, she said that anyone who stood beneath the plant would never be harmed and would be entitled to a kiss. She made the plant a symbol of love. This one's a special one, not only because it's an introduction to a new series here on Half-Baked, but because it's so gosh darn funny. Half-Baked Countdowns.
3 Stupid Christmas Criminals by me, Cueyo123. See, that rhymed. Funny joke, right? Right? The holidays are a time in which we generally expect an air of hecticness. But to help lighten the air, cause you know, I'm a great person and not at all hating boy, here are 3 stupid Christmas criminals. Number 1. Stolen margarine. Des Moines, Iowa. A thief was reported to have slipped away with a truck carrying $50,000 worth of margarine. The truck was taken from a Target warehouse in Cedar Falls when it was stolen, and found 5 days later on December 15, 2011 in Fowler, nearly 500 miles away from where it was originally stolen. Funniest part of the story is that neither the margarine nor the thief had been apprehended. Number 2. Stolen Christmas. Ever have that pesky, jealous neighbor? Well, one Sweetwater, Florida woman did. She called authorities when she spotted 2 of her neighbors stealing $500 worth of Christmas decorations off her lawn. The haul included Santa on his sled, Snoopy on his doghouse, and Mickey Mouse flying on a giant pink dick towards Star Wars' ass. The 2 neighbors were charged with grand theft when the stolen goods were found less than a block away. Their names were not released, but I have a theory that they were actually the Sticky Bandits. Because you get that reference? It's from like Home Alone, and Sticky Bandits were guys who went around during Christmas and they stole people's stuff. And please be my friend. Number 3, butt dial theory. Okay, so here's my favorite of the 3. Madison, Wisconsin. Police state that 2 men, while robbing a Target, butt dialed 911 and openly discussed their plans on robbing and fencing the goods that they were about to drive off with. Police state that the 2 never realized that one of them had butt dialed 911, and the dispatcher got to listen in for an hour while they discussed where they could fence their stolen loot. However, when they got to their location, police had surrounded them and they were apprehended. Looks like these thieves got their Christmas behind bars. Get it? Because they were behind bars and they had Christmas. But it wasn't really Christmas, it was actually December 13th. Ha, 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 ha. The spelling errors made in this video are intentional. If you thought otherwise, God help your soul. Just, God help your soul.
Now, for our last story. A legend that's been spun for generations of a demon who comes to punish those who've been bad. He is said to be covered in black hair, haunched, and walk upon cloven hooves. And his tongue, pointed like a snake's, is said to loll between his jagged teeth. His mangled face and bloodshot eyes are said to hunt for any those he deems sinners. He carries bundles of oaken branches to whip those who have sinned, and flails with him chains. Slung over his shoulders is a sack meant to carry off with anyone he deems sinner, for them to never be seen again. While all good girls and boys get a visit from Saint Nick, all those who have been naughty get a visit from Krampus. In tradition, he comes along with Saint Nick and is said to punish the naughty. Milder tales tell of him merely putting sticks into the stockings of those. Yet others say he takes those whose deeds are impure and drags them back home with him, down to hell where they are tortured or eaten. He is described as anthropomorphic and lives only to punish bad children and bad adults alike. Many Christians believe that he is part of European Christmas celebrations, yet many historians say he comes from well before then. His roots place him as the son of Hel, the Norse god of the underworld, making him not only a true demon, but a true terror. So beware, for on Krampus Nacht, his night, he will be coming, and truly, he does know who's been nice or naughty. So fact or fiction? That's up to you, dear viewer. Until next time.